What's up, my folks? I hope y'all are good. All right, this video we're gonna talk about several things that some of the stuff people don't want to say. Everyone wants to make themselves look grandeur and tough and all this stuff, but I'm gonna tell you the truth about these dogs. All right, the first thing is before their dogs are puppies. These little puppies, when you get a little puppy like this, that's when you start teaching your dog what you want it to be. Okay, you got to let them grow up. You got to let them be puppies. They're going to do things as puppies, but you can play with them and all that. And one of the reasons I like to let my puppies stay together as long as I possibly can is because they learn a lot from each other and they're not tearing up bowls and shit like that. You'll know when they got to stop being together. They'll be serious. That play shit don't count. But all right, and then that's a process. Now, I had a question this morning, a comment this morning from Craig Denny, I believe it was. If it wasn't Craig, I'm sorry, but whoever it was. Okay, I can't really remember right now. But anyway, so the comment was something that I've heard from several people that have gotten my dogs too. That the dog is 2 years old now. He will hunt for him when he takes him to the woods. He hunts good. He'll smash coyotes. I guess he's been hunting coyotes with him and all that. But in the neighborhood, he avoids dogs. He tries to get away from dogs. He don't want nothing to do with them, or whatnot. Well, it's a raising process, man. If you raise them, now you said the dog's real good with your family. He's a good, smart animal. So I'm assuming he's like a pet. Okay, these dogs their dog's brain's about as big as a walnut. Okay, if you put in that brain from the time he's a puppy, I like a dog that won't let dogs around me. Period. I don't care. I like that in them. I don't mind unless we're hunting. And then they know the difference, But if he's 2 years old and he's been a pet and he's been very smart and very good and has been disciplined, the little subtle things that you do throughout the life sculpt that dog. Okay, if he's raising the house and your kid's walking down the road, your wife, you, whatever, and when time he's say 6 months old and he starts looking at dogs, or when they're barking, and you pull him away, or say he's in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the neighbor's dog's barking, he's raising hell, frothing at the mouth, wanting to he gets his yelled at and whipped the newspaper for barking too much, and he gets smacked in the butt for digging under the fence to try to kill the neighbor's dog when he's a puppy. So all these things make a difference. Some of them are so smart they know that's what that dogs belong to humans, or there some of them are like that until they get to a certain point. Okay, now 2-year-old is a puppy still, Craig. Regardless, it's a lot of the older bloods don't even have interest in any of that. He's probably smart enough to not want nothing to do with it, but that doesn't mean if a dog gets him, or he has contact with a dog and he gets in a fight with one and he learns that he likes it, well, he's going to do what we call start up, and then you're not going to have that same animal. You're going to have to really watch him then, because then you're going to have a pit bull, not just a pit bull dog. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, it happens sometimes just naturally. Okay, I had a buddy of mine call. He got a dog off of Rusty and Dixie, raised it as a pet. The whole family loved the dog, spoiled the dog. Dog's great. I get my customers, I get to know their families and all that stuff through the dogs. And he's just a real brilliant. She was just a real brilliant animal. They had her so big from feeding her table scraps and stuff. She showed no interest in messing with dogs. He said she got about, I guess she was about 2. He was telling me this. I said, well, still, don't trust her now, because that's normal for those dogs to act that way until they get mature. You'd almost think they're cold. Well, about 2.5, I get a phone call. There was I believe he said it was a big Labrador down the road that when he'd walk the dog would come rush the fence, all that shit. Well, she got out of the house one morning when she was about 2.5, decided to go down the road and kill the lab. Just out of the blue. See what I'm saying? You can't ever say, hey man, I don't worry about him or nothing like that. They always expect it, especially from 2 years on. Remember, a 2-year-old is like a 14, 15-year-old boy. I mean, now there's some individual dogs that turn out bad as fuck when they're puppies. I had a strain of dogs when I was younger that they were the hide satch, ironhead carver stuff. Them dogs were ruthless when they were puppies. And you'll know when a dog is ready because he'll go right to work. You know what I mean? There won't be none of that other bullshit. They'll go right to work. That's when they're ready. When there's any bullshit involved, they're really not probably not ready. Then you got to ask yourself, did I fuck up? You do something with a dog that's not mature enough, and he doesn't turn out good, is it your fault or his? That's why I tell you guys, let them mature so there's no questions. If you're gonna hunt with these dogs, you got to be smart with them. There's no sense in doing stupid shit with these animals. You raise them too long. And the schooling process on the hogs is very similar to what it was in the pit game. I learned everything I know about these dogs, and I just apply it to breeding game catch dogs because it's the same process. It's the same exact process. You know, and schooling a dog makes all the difference in the world. Okay, how you school that animal. From the time you raise him, they got like a little walnut brain, like I said, as big as a walnut. The information you put in it, what they get out, you're their everything. You're their plug to the world. You know what I mean? They want, you're their god basically. So if you teach them something and they're an intelligent animal, they're going to listen to you, even if you don't mean to teach it to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a process that you have to understand. So, but you have to start with a mature dog before you start hunting one. Now, I was dumb when I was a kid and did stupid shit, but then you got to think, you know, there's certain individuals, even to how many of y'all at 15 years old would have got in the ring with a 15-year-old Mike Tyson when he was knocking fucking grown men professional fighters out? You know what I mean? With headgear on and shit. How many of y'all would have done that? Honestly, answer that question and had a chance. Some dogs are like that. Some dogs are full on when they're young. They have the talent, the ability, and all that. Those are very special animals, just like Mike Tyson's a special man. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. 1 in a million type animals. They come and they're here. But most of the dogs, everything in between has to be taught. And some dogs learn very quick. I have some dogs that I start hunting and they know what it's like they're aces, all the fucking right off the rip. And then some dogs, especially from certain bloodlines, you can tell. I've figured out which bloodlines take what and what I have to do to get them where I need by experience with them. Certain bloodlines, you know, they take a few hunts before they really start putting out good. You know, that we just started hunting with the cherry killer pups, and that's kind of a new cross to me. And I'm noticing that them dogs are they're late starting animals. They're late start. We just started gotten them hunting. They're 2 years old, or maybe even over 2. I can't remember. But it doesn't matter to me. They let me know. I let the dog tell me when. Like I say, you know when they're ready when they go to work. Right when you let them go, they hammer the hog, they're doing good. Then they're ready. If you got to do that other shit to get them going on it, get them prepped up and primed up, they're probably not quite there. But the theory is once you start hunting with a dog and he starts hunting, he started. So it's all on you then. So like I say, you use every benefit you can to your animal. It don't do you no good putting him on a hog that's going to hurt him. If you know you got a hog out there that's bad as fuck, and that people take, it doesn't do you any good putting a puppy on it and getting him fucked up. You ain't teaching him nothing. You're just fucking him up. There again, it does you no good putting your puppy on a piece of shit, pig you just got down from the market, 50 pounds. He's just going to butcher it. You got to put him on something. It's a matchup process that's very important to get a good final product. Very. And, you know, you can't, you know, the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. It's kind of like that. You know what I mean? The dog's either going to want to do it or he ain't. And a lot of times that comes into when he's mature enough, all his instincts come into play. You know, some dogs, it takes a while to get the puppy out of them. Some dogs are really mature young. It's all individual basis. But the difference between waiting to a point is you won't end up with a cereal bowl full of teeth because their body would be mature. You know what I mean? It's just one of them situations where the dog has his mind. That little walnut brain has to come into play. And a lot of times, especially like the Walker Velvet stuff, you want to let them dogs especially mature. Even if they act good, okay, because their bodies are not mature. I've noticed them dogs, their mind might be there, but their body is not mature until they're 2.5 years old. I mean, I'm like I say, I'm not condoning anything illegal. I'm not trying to teach you anything illegal, but I can tell you from my mistakes that I made and my mistakes I made in the pit game. I've learned to apply them and do well. Even my good times I've done good, I take a lesson from it and to do well and apply it. And I've done that, and it's been an easy transition. You know what I mean? To breed quality catch dogs. You know what I'm saying? Because I use the same process. I mean, even my schooling process, which is harder now. It ain't like the old days. It ain't like everyone's got a fucking pen in their backyard that they can go and you can catch hogs with. Now you got to take what you can get. Therefore, is another reason to definitely make sure they're mature, because you don't know what you're going to get on half the time. And if you get on one and it drags your ass out in the swamp for 30, 45 minutes before you can get it, and the dog's just standing there, and you got a 14-month-old puppy, you can say, well, he was 14 months old. Well, you still ruin the dog. Once he quits, he's going to quit, man. I've never seen it. Very, very few dogs will quit from and do well. That rascal story, that's a thing where the dog wasn't mature enough, and they took him around, and he turned around to be one I consider one of the finest producers of a bloodline there is. But that's another thing, that 1 in a million love story. For the most part, you shock them in the brain, that little walnut brain. You got to remember what I'm saying. It's fucking big as a walnut. So it's up to you. You're their everything. You gotta do them right to get a good finished product. I mean, and then you got to know what you're looking at. Okay, I'll tell you sometimes about the old days. Everyone wants to hear that, and everyone likes to talk about their glory times, the time they done good, the time they didn't. I'll tell you about 2 times I did bad. Both of these times I had to pick up, and I was I bought a dog. I was young. I don't even think I was still a teenager, and I'll never forget it. I bought a dog from a very, very well-known breeder. I'm not even gonna say it now. I don't want to bash him in or nothing like that, because it could happen to anybody with this situation. Like I say, there's always something better out there. You might not think so, but something eventually you're gonna run into something rougher than you think. But I had a bitch that I bought as a grown dog. I saved a lot. It took me a long time to afford to buy that bitch. I actually paid payments on the man. She was supposed to be a finished out dog, and when I got her, she was just a beautiful dog, and she was well built, and I started working with her. I just wanted to see her style, so I looked at her for like 5-10 minutes, you know what I mean? And she looked really good. She didn't have a real hard mouth, but she wasn't a plug either. I was pretty all around happy. I felt like she was a usable dog. So doing like what every greenhorn does, I just think I got me a dog bred from this guy, and it's going to be a world beater. So I called a weight to an older gentleman that had one, and we linked up. This man was very, very experienced, very respected, had some good dogs, and there's still a line of his dogs out. So we met, and long story short, he brought a pressure biter. I never really had seen a pressure biter. I heard a lot of people talk about them, but at the time I seen a bunch of hard mouth dogs, but they would bust holes in you and lines and everything else that them real hard mouth ones was. I never seen what a dog would like that was teeth was so blunted up, but still had a terrible, terrible mouth like this. So the first 20 minutes, I'm not believing what I'm seeing. My little dog is just getting pushed around like she's nothing, and you guys that have been around you old timers know that armpit hold, that brisket armpit hold's a dangerous spot to be. That clavicle area and all, and that's where this bitch was staying. That's a very tough area, that clavicle on a dog, but it's a weak inside. And she was a hell of a pressure biter, and she was just munching us, man, just smashing. And I had some backers on this deal, so I had some guys in my corner. About 20 minutes, I was like, man, I don't know, dude. I could see my dog getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And at 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm picking up. They're like, no, she ain't even got a fucking hole in her. She's all right. I'm like, no, you are not seeing. See, they could not see. So many of the people I knew back then, they couldn't see what they were looking at. They would be saying all this shit, but I'm looking at them like, y'all are stupid. That motherfucker is not doing shit to that other one, and that other one's murdering him. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't see. Some people just don't have that eye, And I'm like, no, I'm going to pick her up. Because I was proud of my little dog. I didn't want to lose her. She was hell of bred, and I worked hard for her, and I just was like, man, there ain't no shame in me picking up this bitch. This bitch is a world-class bitch. You know what I mean? She's better than ours. No, man, well, I picked up in like 31, 32 minutes, okay? I just said, fuck it, I'm picking up. And, you know, everyone was all mad at me. She ain't even hurt. She ain't even hurt. Look, there ain't even a hole in her. And we had her on, you know, anti-inflammatory cortisols and stuff. I ain't going to say what, because they'll say I'm trying to promote illegal shit. But so she wasn't really swelling. I was like, I don't care, man. I'm telling y'all are not seeing what I'm seeing, hearing what I'm hearing. And I lost that dog on the way home, you know. And I mean, that was with all the medical that I could give her, you know, before we even got home. I lost her. That's one of the only dogs I ever lost in the pit game like that. One of the only one. Then the next time, I learned a lesson from that. Okay, you gotta know what you're looking at. And I could look at the other aspect of it too. I could see when a dog was not in no trouble, and the other people would be talking about all this bullshit, but it's just talk. You can't talk a dog good. You can't talk a dog into winning unless you convince the man that, you know, it's something that he's not seeing. So I could see both sides of it, and then I learned through the years that if you're out dogged that bad, minutes matter. Minutes fucking matter. It's just not a time thing, okay? Many good dogs have been destroyed by great dogs in 10 minutes, okay? It just happens. I mean, destroyed, murdered, put out of misery kind of shit. Like, because the owners couldn't see what was happening. I mean, that was just something I never could understand. The matchup would be so far one-sided. I mean, you're not teaching the bad motherfucker nothing for giving him a punching bag, and the other one that's not even in the same league, he ain't learning nothing but how to get killed. You know, that was one thing that I noticed that was slowing down. People started noticing that, and you saw less of that, you know, as people got experienced. But that was one thing I could always see right off the rip. So I'll tell you about the last time I picked up. It's one of the last matches I ever did. I had a bitch that was very well bred. She was an Eli dog, really heavy bred Eli dog, but she didn't have your typical Eli style, and she didn't have your typical Eli mouth. She was just, I'd say maybe a 6 or a 7 on mouth, fairly usable dog, very good style, you know. So, and back then it was, I didn't know. I just put a weight out and I would pick up whatever, and you know the circle I was in was always going to be good dogs. So I threw a weight out and I got picked up by another very old timer that I respected very, very much, that was known to have just great dogs, and we linked up. Well, the first 18, 19 minutes we were doing real good. We had not been touched yet. We were doing everything, wearing dog down. I mean, it was looking really good for us. I was like, hell yeah, we're going to wear this bitch out and not even get a hole in us, you know. And about 19 minutes, they caught a fang on their dog. And I guess the referee couldn't unfang it. So, you know what happened? They had to meet 2 foot in the middle. And when we had that next hit, she got right in my armpit again. That bitch got in my armpit. The bitch had a fucking 10, 12 mouth. I mean, the kind of mouth you hear about that you get once in a great while. You know, she had that mouth, and we didn't. That's why I say I never really done great with the dogs that couldn't really bite really hard back then. And then this was one of the cases I'm talking about. She hit me in the shoulder once and disabled that shoulder, and then went to the other one and was about to disable me there. And there was no way we could have defended ourselves, you know, from then on. And I just went ahead and picked up. There was no sense in letting her get killed. You know what I'm saying? That was my theory on it. I mean, you got to understand when you're just outmatched, you're outdogged. If a dog is able to just pick you apart that easy when it gets in and you can't keep it out anymore, you just couldn't fucking win. It was no shame in being a man about it and admitting that, you know. And that was one thing that I noticed was dying, you know, from the schooling process to the dogs. You know, when we used to school them, we'd meet them. You know, it was really a process of teaching them. And then it went from that to basically just rolling, you know, whatever. You know, the schooling process I learned, well, the guys were very smart and old school pit masters. You know, they'd start puppies, you know, 2 years old, and they'd take them 4 foot apart, let them hit, so they wouldn't bust teeth out. They would, if a dog couldn't get up, they would help the dog stand back up. If a dog got in a bad hold, they would get the dog out and let him, come back to, to figure it out. If the dog couldn't get him out, he couldn't get him out. You just knew that. You know what I'm saying? And then the dogs would learn much better. It's the same way with hog hunting. If we catch a hog that is too much for the dog, send another dog on him. Don't get him killed for no reason. You know what I mean? If he can't stop the pig, send another dog in to help him. Get in there and grab that hog's back legs. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in it. And your dog may learn something from it, and next time do better. He may not. Some of them just don't seem to learn. You know what I mean? But that's something you have to. That's something you have to have a conversation with yourself about. But the fact of the matter is, they're going to do what you raise them to do, and you teach them to do. And there again, there's different ways of raising. I've had great dogs I've raised up as pets, been some of my best, and I've had great dogs I raised up for chain dogs, have been some of my best catch dogs. You know what I mean? But there's a different way of doing it with each one. I've always found that my dogs, once they get a little older, they're smart enough that they can, if you need to bring them inside, they're good. They'll see crate broke and all that stuff. That's part of raising a dog. But don't get discouraged, especially you guys that live in town, that a dog's around and sees dogs all the time with other people and stuff, that he gets it in his mind that he's not supposed to mess with them animals, because that is just something that is an intelligence that's coming out, okay? Buster used to take his head when it's been several times. We had a little bitch. It was a daughter of his that would get out and jump on his ass when she was young. She wasn't but like 8, 9 months old, and she would jump on anything. She was one of them that was like that early, And she would jump on his ass, and he would run over there. Instead of getting onto her, he would run over there by my mama and bury his head in the couch cushions so she couldn't bite him in the face. And I had to get her off of him. I mean, any other dog he would have murdered, but he knew that was my mama's baby and he wasn't going to hurt her. You know what I'm saying? That's intelligence, guys. That's not cur. You know what I'm saying? At all. If you're not intelligent enough to see that, then maybe you need to just go get into something else. Seriously. But anyway, folks, y'all take care. Y'all stay safe. Y'all keep on bulldogging. And God bless y'all.